And welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to be discussing Jackie Briggs specifically. So, a lot of talk has been around for this character. Many parts I agree with, many parts I disagree with, but I'm going to be breaking down, regardless of my personal opinion, the objective stance and situations for the character and its use. When it comes to Jackie, she does not have any type of special move or comboing attack that actually break a mechanic of the game, that actually go against the rest of the game. However, she does end up abusing or bending any of the rules that the rest of the cast does as well, just to a better degree than the rest of the characters in the cast. And that's due to a combination of tools that she's given, like a full screen launch that pretty much says zoning is irrelevant, and some of the best staggers in the game that, even though on paper they are negative, it does not mean that it is in your best interest to try to end up challenging. And what I mean by that is, and we'll be breaking that down in this video, and that's why I have Liu Kang and Jackie on screen, is these are both characters that are considered to be elite, etc., that quote-unquote have options, right? Well, in many situations in this game, your best option is to actually try to just end up shutting up and blocking for long durations of time. And I'll explain the reason for why, and why you see, so for example, Jackie players putting other high-level elite players in 30-second block strings, etc., just for the sake of, call it safety, because that seems to be the biggest factor in this game, is movement and safety. Movement and safety are the two key factors, regardless of what character that you play, that end up at the highest and most elite level, making the differences for specific characters having an edge over each other in this game. So for example, if Liu Kang is in the corner, and say that I am Jackie, every character in the game has some type of version of a poke, strike throw mix-up game. The reward off of this strike throw mix-up game is completely different and space dependent, though, from character to character. So for example, I'm going to set the AI to end up blocking for all of Jackie's attacks. And in this specific instance, she does have many normals that have like awkward good spacing, allow her to semi-jump over pokes, hops, etc. She has some of the best options in the game when it comes to that, which that's perfectly fine. It doesn't break the game. Where it becomes an issue, however, though, and this is why people are trying to claim that she needs to be banned, is strings like, say, forward 3 or forward 3-1, which are these only rarely negative strings, which on paper, yeah, you technically should have an option against them. So just so that we agree, we're talking about forward 3 and forward 3-1 staggers specifically. That's like one of her main pressure tools, one of her main stagger strings. On block, this string is only -2. Okay, and it is a true mid that can be special canceled into more options. The spacing from this, so mathematically, yeah, you can try to poke, mathematically, but risk-reward wise, if you're fighting this character, why in the hell would you risk poking when the alternative is if you guess wrong, because that's essentially what you're doing, is you're trying to poke, guessing that the opponent is doing something. Your best poke might not guarantee you an option based on spacing. And then on top of that, if for some reason you poked and you guessed wrong, you're eating a solid 30 to 35% combo into probably one of the worst knockdown situations in the game, because Jackie specifically has the capacity to end up pressuring any and all characters due to leap cancels, unlike anyone else in the game. She can track, she can meaty, she can do all those different things, even though having a meaty in this game is also more difficult due to delay wake-ups, which I'll cover in a separate video. But for the discussion of a Jackie ban, people need to understand that, yeah, you technically have an option, But this would be an example of a real S tier character that she does not have a move that breaks the game, but the combination of her constantly bending every single rule a little bit more than the rest of the cast gives her that extra edge, especially in an up-close fighting game. The counterplay to her is to try to end up keeping her out, but the problem is that zoning in this game is not nearly as powerful as any of the up-close variations and tools inside of this fighting game. If there was a character in MK11 that had as nearly powerful zoning as Jackie did up-close offense, people would be insanely complaining about the character. And that's because most people don't like to end up having to be patient or going through zoning, which is understandable. But in this instance, it creates an imbalance where the oppressive type of gameplay style becomes dominant, and it becomes literally more powerful due to frame options and risk reward than it is for a zoning character to try to zone, or other up close characters to try to fight up close against someone that also dominates in that genre. Does it mean that it's impossible to win? No. People can end up making correct reads. There are other factors like skill and neutral play that end up becoming the main involved factor for most fighting games. But if we're taking a skilled player of equal caliber, regardless of playstyle, whether it is zoning, whether it is an up-close pressured style, frame trap style, heavy mix-up, 50-50, whatever that the style is, if you were to take an equal caliber player and give them the different styles of characters in this game, and if they also mastered the movement, like with wave dashing, etc., inside of this game, you will see a massive difference, not necessarily just in wins, but in consistencies with characters that at the same level of play can equip their game plan more effectively in Mortal Kombat 11, and Jackie is the perfect example of that. Now, does this mean that she needs to be banned? The answer is no, by all means no. The reason why I say heavy no is because she's just going to be one of your S tier characters inside of this game. She's not the only one, by the way. I disagree with a lot of tier lists that are out there having like 8 to 10 characters in S tier. That just means they're all top tiers. You're just renaming it S. S is supposed to be the tier reserved for the characters that are literally the leaders of that game, that they can do things that other characters can't. And Jackie is a clear example of that. 110% without debate. So what happens is if you decide as a community to try to ban Jackie, you'll essentially be telling the world and the community around you that it's not okay to have a top tier character that has an edge or an advantage. And I'm sorry, like, there's not a perfect fighting game. Every fighting game will have characters that have those advantages and disadvantages, etc. to games, and it's always going to be about learning your best possible options inside of that game, regardless of whether the game is more zoning heavy, regardless of whether it's more oppressive up close. This is literally an instance of reverse Starfire, in my opinion, when it comes to faraway zoning, or Dr. Fate for Injustice 2, and people not understanding that, yeah, there might be a slight imbalance when it comes to this specific type of play is stronger due to a combination of factors, like, say, screen distancing, or chip damage, or frame data, or the risk reward that one takes while fighting a character. But if these things are not discussed, and if they are not thought through, you will end up massively neutering characters for no reason and never see them again. And that's the exact opposite of what we actually want inside of the community. Instead, we want to try to end up attempting to make a balance in between it. Now, of course, there will be a slight imbalance, like I just said, and I don't think that there's going to be a way of keeping the character objectively good, like through any forms of nerfs and patches. I do think that she will remain an S tier character, and she does have punishable options, and there are competitive defensive options that you can take against a lot of her mix-ups. But at the same time, it's still going to be that guessing game of, is it worth attempting to guess, or is it worth just blocking? And in this game, in most instances, it's usually worth just blocking and playing the defensive route rather than trying to always take the guess, because the guess can lead to way bigger punishes inside of Mortal Kombat 11. I hope this video ended up being a little bit more helpful, and I'll also be doing breakdowns when it comes to frame advantage, when it comes to situations that I disagree with, and reasons why I don't play this game competitively, especially when it comes to risk-reward. For many characters inside of this game, there is massive imbalance when it comes to risk-reward for the up-close fighting, and zoning is also not nearly as prevalent compared to other games when it comes to, if I need to keep a character out, is it easy for me to? And that answer is, it shouldn't necessarily be easy, but it definitely is by no means a strong option in this game. It's mediocre. And we can continue to cover more of those options as well in the future. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll be posting these videos to YouTube as well so that we can continue to explain future options and future frame mechanics specific to characters and the decisions that you have to make for risk-reward. That way people will end up understanding why, for me personally, I choose to not play it, but also why this game usually gets a lot of hate, and why there's a lot of talk happening about like Jackie getting banned, or other characters being overpowered, and frame issues, hitbox issues especially, and we'll be covering all those options as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you.